Good
Good
morning. Oh,
morning, and how
I
are
can
you?
hardly hear you. Hang on.
Good morning.
There we go. Good
Ah,
morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I feel kind of funny that we didn't have our little morning check-in before we went live on Instagram. That's okay. We're gonna wing it.
Absolutely. Well, um, I'm not happy about the position that my state has taken on abortion, so maybe we should talk about
Yeah,
that.
I. That is a yes. That is a yes. We should talk about that because
Okay.
your state has not done the right thing.
No, it's taken a position about a war on people, and well, it's going in the wrong direction, and I think we need to really think about what the whole process of a abortion is about. So let's go with that.
Okay. And before we go with that, I just want to let you know who's chiming in today because people have already said we've got someone from Brazil here. Um,
Wow.
yep. Hang on. There was somebody else that was saying, "Who's the good-looking young lady?" That's you. Yeah. Hi, Bill. Um, somebody thinks somebody I thought said John was looking good. Okay, that's all I have as far as
Okay, well,
where
John's here and he's looking good, so we'll take that.
we will.
John's my number two son. He's a retired Presbyterian minister.
And he has basically moved to be with you to help take care of you,
Oh,
correct?
and do these uh, technical things that I just don't know how to do. He just takes over and does them, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Yeah. So, all
Yes,
right.
start the conversation about abortion.
Well, it's such a hot topic, and people are pushed into a corner about making a decision on what it's all about, when in reality, each abortion is an individual process that individual families and individual people need to decide on their own. And to have this, my state here, Arizona, putting out this law, I just think it's just going totally in the wrong direction. I think that we're stepping on territory that is really sacred
Mm.
land, that the whole process of having a baby is an honor that we women and whole families can accept as such. And if we can understand that as what it is, a loving act of what life is and life and love are, and work with it in that context, the answer that I come up with is not that it has anything at all to do with killing or with murder or with cruelty or with these awful titles that we're
Mm.
tossing around. I think it has to do with we as human beings understand what life is and how we work with it each time, and that life and love have to move. They are living processes which each one of us have going on within us all the time, and we make individual decisions as to how we're going to live our lives and who and what all is involved in them. And so if a woman finds herself in a position where she was not planning to have a baby at that time, or if her circumstances were such, it might be physical, might be, uh, um, material, might any process along the line which says to her that this is not the right time. It's not that you're telling an individual that they are not wanted and that you're going to kill them or destroy them or anything like that. You're simply presenting a living soul with a opportunity to work with you in what your how your life is going to proceed. You you know when I started in the practice of medicine back in Ohio, I was really conflicted about this whole issue. I was concerned about it being the what is it's important to be as a killing process,
Mm-hmm.
and I really didn't know how I was going to be dealing with it with my patients. And then I had a wonderful thing happen. I had a patient who had a little 3-year-old girl daughter who they came into my office as patients. And the mother said to me that her daughter, they were having lunch, and the daughter said to her, Mama, and that was just, they had just had lunch and then came over to see me. She said, Mama, last time when I was 3 inches long and I was in your tummy, Daddy wasn't ready to marry you yet. So I went away, but I came back. And I thought, wow, you know, here we are. I'm getting an answer from this child
Mm.
who is telling me something straight from the spirit that I've needed to know.
Right.
And so since that time, what I've done with women when they've come in and says, I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do and so on, I've asked them to go home and pray about it, however their prayer process is, asking for a answer, and then take out 2 sheets of paper. One says you'll have the abortion, one says you won't. And you write down all the reasons why it is and so on. And then take time to connect with the being, the soul, the baby that is wanting to come in at this time, and explain to them, if you've decided that this is not the right time, that it's whatever the reason is, explain that to the baby. Make contact with the soul that is in the process of wanting to come into your life at this time, and ask them to think about this too. And if it was possible, if the decision was that you were to go ahead with the abortion, ask the baby if they could do something or take a work with this process so that they would make a decision with you
Mm.
about not fulfilling the present pregnancy this time,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe another time, a later time, but not anything that is, um, I don't want you. It's not that you don't want you. I really, these are the reasons why I want you, but at another time. So you're shifting the whole concept from this time to another time, and then ask the baby that would, or the being that is in the process of coming in, if you agree with this, why don't you just go away for a while and then come back when we can work with this in another way? In other words, have a honest conversation with with the entity who's coming in, and ask them if they could leave for a time and then come back when things are different. I've had um, other OBGYN doctors like Chris Northrup and Bethany Hayes and so on, and other physicians who have done this. And I've done this repeatedly now and had the baby leave. They've had a miscarriage
Hmm.
and then been able to have a pregnancy later, and the whole family goes on. It's a living, loving process, not anything about uh, uh, hate or anything of that side. It just it's a lovely, loving, conscious process that goes on between the mother and the baby. And of course, it involves the family and all of that too, because this is part of it. But so if and when that happens repeatedly, in my experience and the other OBGYN people and so on, repeatedly that she has a spontaneous miscarriage. And then later on has a pregnancy that she carries to term and everything's fine. And the baby, this is an ongoing life process. It's not and a matter of choice. It's not a matter of um, life and death.
It would be amazing if we had more people like you, more physicians and OBGYNs who were speaking to that. I sadly don't, I mean, I don't know. It's not my experience because I never went to an OBGYN. Had home births and whatnot. But yeah, I just don't think that that's the way that people are being treated, even in a state where abortion is still legal. I mean, I'm not sure that yeah, I don't know if those conversations are happening when they go to Planned Parenthood,
Well,
in the way that you're speaking.
yes. Well, the problem is that people are conflicted. They don't
Mm,
have a decent, well, a loving answer. They don't have or a conscious process that they can follow. And we are people who are embodied, embodied with the right to choose.
right.
And we're working with the whole process of our right to choose and the baby's right to choose. So it's that um, kind of an interaction that I've written about it, I've talked about it, I've done lectures on it, and so on. And there are a number, well, there are a lot of physicians who get that and can work with it with the patient. And if not, ask if a person understands this, ask your physician if they can understand
Right.
this, because it's something that is totally a conscious choice and it's a loving act.
Did something shift in the Arizona state law recently? I mean, I know a couple weeks ago they were changing the law, but did something new happen this week?
Yeah, they made it a law. It's illegal. The doctor,
Wow.
the anybody that supports an abortion can be in trouble.
Wow. Wow. It's amazing. Yeah, that's just amazing.
Yes, it's 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 a it's an ignorant
Mm,
judgment, in my opinion.
ab-
So there. I think I think it's a judgment based on ignorance, because if a person really understands what pregnancies and birth and all are, they can go into a deeper feeling about it, of deeper understanding of what your decision is. And it's a loving act. It's not something that is horrible.
I would imagine that there are quite a few people that are protesting that decision, like actively protesting it.
Well, they don't know what to do, you know?
Yeah,
Uh, how do you protest something that you can't really understand? So that's what I'm talking about. I offer us an option of choice, which allows us to make a conscious, loving, living medicine choice. And if we take it as that and work with it, whichever way the decision
right.
is a decision that you and the baby have made, and it's the right decision. And
Right.
no state, no uh, country, no uh, person from the outside has any obligation or right to step into that process and tell you what's right or wrong.
Oh, so true. It's just, it does feel a little, it's deflating when you feel like your rights are just being, we're being cornered. We're being pushed into, like now all these people, these women are going to have to leave the state to go have an abortion.
Yeah, and and the doctors are really conflicted, and the hospitals are conflicted. I mean, this is a bad law. It's putting people who are in the position of helping healing in our state in a position of being at, doing something wrong. They're not doing something wrong. They're allowing women and families to make, and babies that are coming in, allowing them to make conscious decisions and then act on them. It's it's just a natural, loving, healing process that we're talking about. It has nothing to do with killing.
And does the law, like, is there no abortions, even if the health of the baby
It's
is.
a bad law. It's a bad law.
Made in 1864.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So no, for no reason, no zero reason could you have an abortion, even if you, the mother, were in danger of carrying full
No,
term, or if
no,
the baby had some, congenital defect.
no,
There's
no.
nothing.
You have no
Wow,
eh,
that is
and
really
and and
And,
think
and
of
if
the
you help, you get put in
what?
prison for life.
What,
yeah.
what did
So
he?
if a doctor helps or a hospital helps or a nurse helps or a midwife helps, you're you're convicted as a criminal. I mean, no, this is a bad law.
Wow. Wow, I don't even know what to say to that. Besides, that is just the worst thing I've ever heard.
Well, it
I mean,
is.
yeah.
It is. But we need to talk about it. We need to let people know that it's not, that that's not right.
Well, no, no, it's not right. But think of now all these poor people. Like, what are all the people of Arizona gonna now do?
Well, they'll try to go out of state and get it done, but they'll so have uh, suffer the consequences.
Right.
It's just not right. It's a bad law. It's illegal. I think it's illegal.
Doctors are leaving the state. Patients are leaving the state.
Yeah,
It's, that's right.
I would imagine.
But think of what it does to a hospital and to a midwife. And, it's just a bad, bad law.
Ugh,
And why anybody decided it was the right thing to do, I have no idea.
yeah, that's just crazy. Ugh. Well, I'm sorry for all of yeah, the state of Arizona, my home state, to be so backwards in the way that they are thinking.
Yep. Do we have people questioning this
You,
on your, or, yeah,
John, can you look from your guys' side? Because for some reason, I usually see a lot of people coming and going in the chat, and I'm frozen on the chat. So I'm just not sure if there's something on your end. If you see, um, like, if you can just look and see, I show there's 34 people on. I'm just curious if that's what you see.
Well, let me look on my phone.
Okay.
it's trying to abort.
Yeah. Yeah. It's freaking out about the conversation.
But I think it's really important that we get some conscious, loving thought to the process
Absolutely.
and make our own personal decision about what each person is going to do.
Well, and I think, at this stage, before anything, I mean, if there was some way that this law could be overturned at some point, that will take time. So, in this time when things are so crazy, creating just a space or options for people and women, like, here's places that you can go, here's a safe space, here's
Right, right. They should have some choice. They should have an option.
right.
And
If
the
going to California or going to Utah or going to Colorado, like where they can go, and creating those, kind of like the underground railroad, like creating safe spaces for these women to go, as opposed to, back in the day when people were going down to Tijuana to have abortions, and that wasn't the safest place for people to go.
and then not having the uh, stigma from your neighbors and so on that you had an abortion. So, that's your choice.
Right.
And when you put this kind of a law into action in a state like Arizona, we're it's just wrong. It's just
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. John, what did you find on your phone?
About 25 people.
Yes. So I am, I don't know why I'm stuck at, can somebody try to chime in, and how about my sister Claudia? If you're still on, just say hi or something so I can see if it'll shift my chat. Otherwise, John, if you're right there, maybe I can log off and log right back in, and maybe it'll change for me.
Did you hear that, John? John?
Say it again.
If you can come back over to Gladys's phone, I'll log off and come back in.
Oh,
If you let me in, and maybe that'll shift my chat ability.
oh, you mean let you rejoin?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, hold tight. I'm signing off, and I'll sign right back in. So, don't have fun without me. I'm coming right back. Yeah,
Okay, bye.
I don't know why that stopped. Okay, are you ready, John?
Yep, go.
Okay, bye.
How's that?
That is good.
All right.
Um, Great. Okay. So I'm back in. Okay. So someone's saying, and part of the discussion is the pro-choice movement also wanted to push mandatory vaccines, which is contrary to choice. True. I agree with that. Um,
That's another whole subject, but this is really important to go with this one.
Absolutely. But it's along the same line of just having choice.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Let's see. Let me go back in. Wow. I don't know. All right. Well, I don't know what's happening with my phone, but we'll see. Okay, here we go. I think I've got some. So if anybody has any comments, other comments about that, and feel free. I'm hopeful that I can see the comments now. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't even, I feel I don't even know what to do about it. Like is there anything you guys can do as the state of Arizona to, like, you as a physician, the other physicians, can they stand up and say anything?
Well, they're conflicted too, you know. If you've got a law that's going to put you in prison for doing something like this, people are leaving the state. Doctors are leaving the state. People are not only leaving the state to have the procedure done, but then when they come back, how are they going to, it's just a bad law. And so anybody that has any uh, position in our state or others processes to help us with this, hang in there, kiddo, because we need to get this straight.
Right, right. Wow. And I mean, you've been teaching this, your way of your philosophy around birthing and abortion since the 50s, right?
Oh, yeah, yes, I've written about it, I've lectured about it. And it's a loving process. It has nothing to do with hate or fear or all of the, these black holes that we've stuck the whole concept in, and which incidentally, this our Instagram is trying to get stuck into too. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, I really um, I wrote my first book about birthing way back in 70 something, right? So anyway, yes, let's talk to each other about this on a rational level, not all emotionally uh, tied up in theologies and all kinds of things that we uh, uh, can preach about it, because it's in my eyes, it's a conscious decision that each family needs to make, and it should be. We are a free country. It should be honored as that.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder how, we have become so divisive in our, with certain issues, that it's so like, how do you change the mind of somebody who is so convicted in their thoughts and beliefs that it is, so wrong, and it's killing, and all of that. Like, how do you even have a conversation with someone like that?
Well, it's very difficult because I've tried.
Yeah. So I feel like at one level, it's a moot point, because there's no changing their mind. I mean, it's one thing for all of us to have these conversations with each other and build that up and build that bubble up so that we can spread that. But to have a conversation with someone who is so adamantly, you know, making
But
the law.
well, the interesting thing is that there are people who have been uh, really, really consciously thinking about this for a long time, and they have not heard the opposite story, which is what I'm talking about. And when they hear that, they accept it. There are people who are really, I've had people come up after a lecture, after I've said this, and I've had letters from people who have read my books and so on, said, thank you. It I really needed that message of loving birth. And so it's a process of just educating ourselves to something that's available to us. We are conscious human beings who have read to free will and choice,
Mm-hmm.
and we can use that if our legal system doesn't get in the way and make it impossible.
Right. So Carolyn is asking a question and she says, do you have ideas why it's getting more and more frequent to make that kind of decision? It feels like a lot of countries or states want to forbid it again.
Because it's the power of darkness that wants to get back in. You know, light and love and healing and uh, creative activity. That's what the living soul is looking for. But if we can cloud it and muss it around until it becomes an edict or something that is uh, sort of comes down to us from higher forces, legal forces, and says this is the way it is, we're in trouble. So we need to speak about it and understand it ourselves in a way that we can actually talk to people reasonably, because we understand reason in this process, not just edicts and uh, uh, you know s- statements that say that it's evil. It just
Do you, it just made me, what popped into my head is in response to that question is, the rising tide of female empowerment and that rising collective consciousness that is that feminine, quality. Is this just the patriarchy that is trying to keep us down?
maybe it is. Maybe it's femifesting, and we've not had this law around for a while, but we're
Right.
hatching it, we're pulling it back up out of the darkness and saying, here we are. Well, I think here we are. And of course, I don't know that it'll be on our, well, I don't know where it's going to go, because she's just made it a law right now.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I can think of is just that rise of the empowerment of women,
Right.
and that we're trying to get equal pay, and just all the things that women are waking up to and men are waking up to, the patriarchy that we have all grown up in, men and women, and yeah, and maybe it's just, I hate to think of things as, evil and not evil, or dark and light, or, just energy is energy, right? But there is that suppressive energy of the patriarchy that, you know, if it's feeling threatened, it's absolutely going to start to wipe away any ability for women, or yes, in this instance, for women to, you know, have the choice.
Well, and sometimes it's the whole family that has a choice. It's not just one woman who's the one that's pregnant.
Right.
She lives in a family, and their families have this choice, and they have the right to work with it and think about it and pray about it and deal with it, instead of having some edict like Hitler saying, I don't know what Hitler said about this, but anyway, it sounds like something he would say.
Right. Right. Yeah, it really is. So I feel like, you know, just from that positive perspective, you're right. Continuing to have conversations like this, but continuing the expansion of femifestation, creative thinking, creative empowerment of women to just keep lifting.
Yes,
I mean, that's what we can do.
we. I think it's those of us who are thinking along these lines need to be sure that we, uh, not be sure, but need to share this with other people who can, who are conflicted with this, because it's become a religious issue. I mean, this isn't anything that Jesus or Muhammad, or I don't know what Muhammad talked about, but anyway, this isn't a religious issue, but it has become a
Right.
religious issue, and I think we need to think about that. So uh, it, it's a,
Wow.
yeah,
It's a big,
it's amazing. I think that Arizona is a state where this is happening. Arizona, this Wild West state where, you know, and we're coming up with this ancient law rule and making it part of our state
right.
consciousness. I just think it's awful.
Oh, it is. It is. And do you mind if for 1 second I change the subject?
No,
Because,
I think we've done it.
okay.
Yeah.
Because, John, are you still right there?
Yes.
Because Rose, I was speaking to Rose this morning about the retreat that
Yeah.
is happening. And that is now going to be in October. Um, I believe it's the second week of October.
Uh-huh.
And so, anyway, I was talking to her about that, but she told me that there was some amazing article, John, that they just did on Gladys in the Sun.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
It's a newspaper in London. It has like 32.5 million subscribers, and she was the feature article for this uh, this week's publication.
Amazing.
And it had a beautiful article about her, and it was very nice. Uh, I It talked about her new um, uh, her book came out in paperback, and so they were talking about that, but also their paperback version of her book, the British version of the book came out this week, and so that the paperback version of their book
Gotcha.
came out, And so they were talking about that and her 6 secrets to health and happiness at every age. And it was very complimentary. Um,
That's amazing.
it was
That's so great.
about 6 or 7 pages of newsprint, and that's pretty good for a magazine, for a newspaper.
Absolutely. Is there any way we can put the link in on the Instagram page here?
I'll have it put in afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. That way everybody can have a chance to take a look at it as well of our famous Dr. Gladys, who is just all over the globe. I love it.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how the divine energy has just taken it and spread it around, because I'm in awe of what's happening. It's just it seems like the world is hungry for uh, light and love and healing and hope and health and aging into health and these kind of things to be part of our lives. And we as conscious human beings are reaching for that. We're reaching for our true humanity. And I think it's just amazing that we're coming together as a community who understands that we are conscious human beings who actually have a right to choose and work with the world and make it a better place.
You know what just sort of hit me though as you were speaking, because you always speak about how, and in such a beautiful way of gratitude and about how amazing it is that this is happening. But what just hit me is what people, I think, one of the reasons why this has gone so big is because what they're actually attracted to is the fact that you, as a woman, as a physician, you said you didn't get your voice. You really didn't own your voice until you were how old?
97,
Okay.
93, 93.
Okay. So 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And this book is in relationship to you finally really having your voice and really being able to speak what it is you wanted to speak into the world. And
right.
that's the magic, is that it's you. I mean, yes, it's what you had to say and it's all of those things, but the magic, like the fairy dust behind it all, is the fact that it's coming from this place of a woman who's finally come into her own and finally expressing herself in the biggest way and the most authentic way that you possibly can. And that's the thing that is the ignition that's sparking it and that's making people, it's having people go, wow, that's really amazing. Look at this, it's, I want you to take that in because that is so huge, Gladys.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. And let me add to that. This Instagram started 4 years ago. It was the first one that Katie, you started this. You gave me my voice
Hmm.
also when we started this Instagram 4 years ago. Isn't it
Well,
wonderful? I mean, how this is coming together now,
yes,
and I honor the way in which it's smoothly moving along and picking up momentum. It's awesome.
it is. And it's just, and I know that I've said this before, and who knew? We had no idea that this is what was
No,
the Instagram. I just thought like, well, let's just do it and see, you know, and I was, you know, I felt like for you, I was like, Gladys, we will do this as long as you want. If you don't want to do it, that's fine, but let's just try and see what happens. And who knew?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just fun. It really is. It is the highlight of my week to get on here and chat with you about things that are important and things that matter to people. And it's
Well,
just
because
great.
life is a living process, and it has to move, and it has to go from one to the other, and it's a growing thing, you know.
Yeah.
It has to have its life enhanced, and
Mhm.
that's what we're doing here. Isn't it? I, I'm in total awe. I really am.
Mary Hannon is saying, and the universe let me in and met you both.
Oh,
And somebody else said, gorgeous and full of positive vibes.
wow.
Someone else, so inspiring and already reading the book.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, so good. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to say that I need to get going. Uh, time for my afternoon of patience. And maybe next week, I do want to share about my sweat lodge experience. It was pretty
Oh,
cool.
yes, yes,
Yeah, it was great. It's amazing. It
yes.
was absolutely just to be back in touch, you know, those reminders of Mother Earth and being in touch with all of it. So, anyway, somebody's also saying love from Sweden. So, all right. Well, I love you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being on. We so appreciate you. We love the comments. We love your conversation, your questions. So, keep them coming.
Making the world a better place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And John, thank you so much always for being the technician here, the
You're
technician
welcome.
in the house.
You are welcome.
Okay, we have Netherlands and Switzerland signing off
Okay.
as well. Oh, and Morocco. Somebody is here from
Wow.
Morocco. Yeah, so cool. All right. Love you both. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.